Hi, I'm not a boy's name. I'm here chatting with Milky. I started playing music when I was, I can't even remember anymore. Probably like 6 or 7 years old. My dad played the drums and he just kind of taught me little bits and pieces. And it wasn't until my best friend in year 2 started playing guitar that I really wanted to learn and was really motivated to kind of take up drums as my first instrument. And so it just kind of snowballed from there. You know, I started playing drums and then I picked up guitar in high school, started messing around with like tape recorders, and then also like really basic forms of kind of multi-track recording, Cool Edit Pro, Logic, and then eventually Ableton. And then here I am now, doing what I do. I think the thing that prompted me to become a solo artist was just a longing to express myself creatively. I'd spent a long time playing other people's music, touring a lot, and kind of recreating what someone else had already created. And because I had that side of me that was kind of interested in recording and songwriting, and it was something that I'd always done kind of in the background anyway, I just felt like I'd reached a point where it was time for me to kind of express myself and release my own music. I think the sonic sound of my music is something that has just kind of evolved over time. From playing around with like really early multi-track recorders and that sort of stuff, I have this process where I'll just sit down with an instrument, maybe it's bass or guitar, and I'll just kind of stack it up and keep adding layers until I get to the point where I feel like it's finished. But a lot of the time, it's just like layers and experimenting and overdriving preamps and just kind of, I guess, trying to find that point where I feel like I've hit that like umami moment of like all the flavors are combined and the song is finished. So I guess, yeah, the sonic sound is just experimentation and overdrive, basically. Well, I don't want to say too much about the story behind Psychopath because the psychopath himself may be watching. It came from a real-life instance of working with someone very closely in a music sense. And I just had this feeling the whole time that I was doing it. It went on for years. I had this feeling like I was being taken advantage of and I was being manipulated constantly. And every decision was kind of turned against me. And it left me in a place where I just felt like I couldn't continue working the way that I was working. I couldn't continue making music. And I was going to quit. I told my partner at the time, like I got home from a day of working on music with this guy, and I was like, that's it, I'm going to quit music. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. And it wasn't until I had a few conversations with my friends and other people that were in the same situation that I realized it wasn't me. It wasn't coming from me. Those feelings weren't coming from me. It was this other person inflicting that upon me. And so there's lots of manipulation, lots of gaslighting, and it took me quite a while to realize that, yeah, it wasn't me in the wrong. And this song was kind of born out of that experience. It was very cathartic. It was something that I just needed to get off my chest. And when I went into the session to write this song, I was messing around on a synthesizer with my friend Tasker, and we were just working on beats, and he was like, is there anything that you want to write about? And I didn't even think about it. It just kind of came out. I was like, this has been on my mind, and this is a message that I really want to convey to the audience. And I think it's something that people can relate to because a lot of people have been in that situation. When it comes to music videos, I'm always 100% involved. The last 6 music videos that I've made. I've cut those myself. The last 2, I've had friends who are cinematographers help me out. And so they'll shoot it for me, and then I'll take the footage, and I kind of am in charge of the finished product. The video for Psychopath just came out of pure panic. Like, I think it was this last Wednesday, which was 2 days before the release. I kind of thought to myself that I should probably have a music video. So I called up my friend Alex Bennison, who I've known since I was like 6. And we just went down to the local football oval with a few lights, and I just danced in front of the lights for about half an hour. And we put the song into double speed so we could then... No, we put it into half speed. So we could then speed it up, and it just looked manic and crazy. And yeah, we only did about 3 or 4 takes of it, and then I just chopped it all together and ended up with this demented lyric video. I feel like, there's an artist by the name of Matthew Barney who did a lot of video art in the 90s. He did a bunch of works called the Craymaster Cycle, and it's very much in that realm. I feel like it's very visual, and it's coming from a place that's like a little bit off. You know, it's like a little bit out of focus. It doesn't quite make sense, but it's compelling nonetheless. So yeah, I'd say that would be the piece of art. When I write music, a lot of the time I'm not really sure what I'm sitting down to do. You know, like sometimes it'll be like I'll be driving around and something will pop into my head and I'll voice memo it, or sometimes I am sitting down with the purpose of creating something, but it's never really at the front of my mind what the end result will be. So it's a lot of experimenting, and I just have, the amount of like minute and a half demos I have kicking around my hard drives is, the mind boggles. It's like there's a lot, but I think a lot of it is, it's when I feel like I need to get something off my chest. It is that cathartic process of almost like therapy. I'm like, okay, I need to express myself. So that's usually what it's born out of. My favourite current musical acts in Australia, Beck Sandridge is a big one of mine. I love her so much. I love her music and her whole aesthetic. We've worked together before, and it was that kind of mutual respect of tastes and aesthetics that drew us together. So I love Beck. I love Kesmar's last EP. I think that's really cool. Kieran J. Callanan, Alex Cameron, anyone that is kind of doing something slightly off the path of the, you know, commercial mainstream kind of streaming scene. That's what I'm into. For the rest of the year, I think I'm going to work on my EP. That's going to be the main focus. But I'm also producing a bunch of music for other people. So I'm kind of hoping to do both simultaneously, like work on my own tunes, work on other people's tunes, and play some shows as well. There's a show coming up at Vic on the Park on June 26th. And then I'm looking at doing some kind of more like installation-based performances. So like a solo show where I'll play a few different instruments and have like a visual element to it as well. That's something that I'm really excited to work on. Well, I've kind of tipped it on its head now. The live show used to be like a full band affair. I had my partner Lucy playing flute and keys, and I had like just a full like rock band, and it was very much this like bombastic 80s kind of proggy thing. And now I've kind of flipped it, and it's just me. So I'm kind of experimenting with interesting ways to do that at the moment.
There's a perfect name for you. Psychopath. You're just so psychopathic. When we talk, it is so damn erratic. When we kiss, oh, it's so unromantic. Psychopath. Oh, so psychopathic. Psychopath. You're just so psychopathic. When we talk, it is so damn erratic. When we kiss, oh, it's so unromantic. Psychopath. Oh,
Stuart Copeland, I love the drummer from The Police. I've always thought he's great. Also Todd Rundgren, amazing songwriter, very underrated. I love all the weird shit he did in the 80s. And maybe one more. I mean, Prince. You can't go past Prince. And probably Todd Rundgren. He's like 77 now, but I think it would be cool still. Ooh, there's so many albums that have had a huge impact on me. I'm just going to go completely out and say Master of Puppets by Metallica. Ooh, that's a tricky one. This is funny, actually. The first concert I attended was Silverchair at the Horden Pavilion in 1997 when I was a wee tyke. But that's kind of funny because I work with Daniel now, and we've been making a record for a couple of years, and I will never tell him that. So please don't watch this, Daniel. Probably Prince or David Byrne. I like Miley Cyrus. I had a really good time at Big Sound in 2018. Yeah, the second show that we performed at Big Sound. We had like full visuals. There was this crazy lighting guy that was in-house, and he was so committed to making our show amazing. He like asked me the meanings of all the songs, any like content I wanted on screen. He had lasers. And so I was like, yes, please light up the lasers for The Internet Sucks. It was good. Oh my God. I have so many. Well, I don't know if they're guilty pleasures because I listen to so much stuff. Like Britney Spears. I love Britney Spears. And I don't know if that's a guilty pleasure, but I think she's amazing. And also, God, all sorts of stuff. Like some of that, like Disney musical stuff is just, I find it really twisted. Like High School Musical and all that stuff. There's like something in that it's like it's made for kids, and it's like so simple that it's like genius in a way. Spice Girls, 100%. The Backstreet Boys, they never did it for me. They're just like way too cheesy. I feel like there's something about the Spice Girls, especially because they're like coming from like London. You know, they're a bit more chavvy or something. Yeah, there's just more attitude there. So definitely Spice Girls. Oh God, Creepy Spice, I guess. The first album I ever bought was Michael Jackson Dangerous. I mean, David Byrne would be quite cool. Someone that just does things a little bit differently. Yeah, so David Byrne. I mean, Kimbra's awesome as well. You know, someone like that. You know, I feel like Prince, his legacy kind of speaks for itself, and the way that he conducted his business, especially in the 80s. You know, he took a bit of a dive in the 90s, but yeah, I think Prince, he did some really cool shit for the industry. I guess the like data side of releasing music, that's something that like I'm always so aware of, like streaming numbers and all that back end stuff. And I think it's just such bullshit. And, you know, a lot of people lose a lot of sleep over it. So I would say don't stress about that. That's hard to pinpoint, but I think, you know, because my old man played the drums and he played in a bunch of bands when I was a kid. Like, not big bands, like cover bands around town and stuff. But I think watching my dad play the drums and seeing, like, the command of that instrument that he had, and just the confidence he had when he, like, sat down at a drum kit, I was like, that's something that I think is admirable, that I want to do. And I was only probably, like, 4 or 5 when I first saw that. So, yeah, it stuck with me.